Hello, and welcome to Appleton Engaged. I'm your host, Timber Smith, DEI coordinator for the city of Appleton.
And I am Andy Anam, the communications manager for the city.
And Appleton Engaged is a podcast that explores the many people, organizations, and resources that make our community a great place to live, work, and play. So whether you're a longtime resident or just getting to know Appleton, join us as we learn more about our community together.
Today we have a very special guest from a very prominent nonprofit organization that offers an instructional football program for youth in grades 6 through 8.
Yes, we're about to talk football, y'all. And I think that's fantastic. So this week's guest is Jackson Straughan, director of Appleton West Youth Football Program and Appleton Youth Football Association, the AYFA. Hey, Jackson, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
Hey, well, thank you for being here with us today on Appleton Engaged.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Timber and Andy, for having me on. I'm super excited to be here.
Jackson, can you please tell us a little something about yourself and your association with Appleton and the surrounding Fox Cities region?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am definitely not a Wisconsin native, so I'm kind of an implant, so to say. I've definitely fallen into the Midwest charm after coming here and getting my biology degree at Lawrence, so right downtown in Appleton. Funny enough, I actually was a part of the same fraternity as Jake Woodford, our mayor, and so I have gotten to know a lot of different, I guess, community members within Appleton as part of being at Lawrence and doing some different like volunteer work through different organizations, through youth sports as well as collegiate sports as well. So that's kind of my story, coming from all the way from Utah, so thousands of miles away to Appleton, but I got to play football at Lawrence. So that's kind of the reason why I've kind of taken this direction.
Oh, that's pretty cool. And Utah, that is a trip.
It is a trip.
Jackson, can you please tell us about your resource?
Yeah, absolutely. So our resource is the Appleton Youth Football Association. So this is really focusing on our middle school youth. So kind of like Andy alluded to, is our 6th through 8th graders. And this is part of Appleton East, North, and West. So these are the 3 like high schools that are a part of this organization. And it kind of goes further on as like a different conference that includes a lot more different like other schools as well.
So it's bigger than just Appleton.
Yeah, so it expands a little bit further, but the AYFA is just particularly those 3 high schools. But we play like other high schools within the surrounding regions.
Okay, I got it.
So what was your idea behind forming the organization? Did you see a lot of challenge, or did you see not enough organizations handling football for the kids?
Sure, yeah. So I can't take a whole lot of credit for starting the AYFA. So that actually started with Nick Salm. So he's a pretty prominent name within the Appleton, Fox Valley communities. He actually went to Appleton West and was part of their state championship team. And he saw a need for a better football for youth football players. And mostly because I think there was a lot of focus on that like old way of thinking about football is like hard-nosed football, not a whole lot of like safety associated with it, and really developing players. You're basically putting on pads and crashing into each other. And he found that starting the AYFA was going to be a great benefit not only to football itself, but the Fox Valley. And so he's really focused more on us developing as those coaches that not only supplements safe playing and playing football, but also allowing for these youth to have that equal opportunity to play and love the sport. Like, I mean, a lot of us do like football, right? So, and we want to keep it around for as long as possible. So safety is obviously a major concern there. And there's some different things that he's kind of incorporated to help with that.
So what's kind of the main mission and purpose? You talked about safety, but I feel like there's more to it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So along with some of the things that we've done is kind of associated with USA Football, which has a whole training course for coaches to develop some of those safety like practices for football. But for us, it's really focusing on the youth and making sure that they can still participate. We have a lot of different like scholarships programs for our players to participate if like financial concerns were more of an issue for or barrier from playing. But I think for us, it's to provide something that is not only enjoyable, but allows for these 6th through 8th graders to get connected with someone who is not only influential, but also going to be a support system.
Mentors?
Yeah, mentors. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, and I think what's great about it is like a lot of our program, we're all volunteers. We're all volunteer coaches, or we all volunteer to be on the AYFA board. As directors, we're already a part of that, but it really resonates throughout our organization, trying to incorporate not only being that mentor and providing those like life lessons that are outside of football, but to have an opportunity to connect with our players on a different level where we can like, hey, you know what? I actually know this person that could probably help you out with math or science or whatever. And so it goes so much more beyond football.
How many years has this program been around?
So it was established in 2016.
Oh, okay. For a while.
So what was there before that? Like, what kind of opportunities the high schoolers had before that? If they wanted to play football or like, play it professionally at one point of time.
Sure. Yeah. So what was before was basically just the established like middle school football. That was just it. So there wasn't a lot of the like financial support that went into the youth like football's like programs for 6th through 8th grade. Obviously 8th grade being a part of the Appleton school district, that's kind of where they get a lot of their resources and financial support. However, the 6th and 7th grade, we actually provide a lot of the different equipment and different resources for our coaches to get certified, etc.
But the eligibility is for the Appleton school district students, right?
Yeah.
So why did you feel like the need to do a non-profit out of it? Like, why you felt like there's a strong need to change the organization into a non-profit so that you can help more students, or you were finding children with socioeconomic issues that, your organization could better handle?
Yeah. So I think you hit it right on the point there. Is a lot of our students, mostly on Appleton West side, we have a lot of students that are socially, economically disadvantaged. So we do have a lot of scholarships students that participate in our football program. So kind of providing that opportunity and kind of minimizing that barrier. And I think that's a huge part that we try to focus on.
Right. Because, I would think, if I remember correctly, it's been a long time since I had some pads on. Football isn't a cheap sport per se, because there's a lot of equipment. The more equipment there is, the more that it seems to be like a cost associated with participating in a sport.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have, as the AYFA, we have a great kind of system in place to allow for us to have enough equipment for all the students. We had actually the highest amount of players that the AYFA has ever had this last year. We had
amazing.
Like 335 players that were registered between 6th and 8th grade amongst all three of our programs.
335.
335.
That's a big number.
It is a big number. It's a lot of youth.
Yeah, that's awesome that you're able to provide these resources, but you have a very big participation. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, and we're only hoping that it gets bigger.
Okay.
Like, we have the structure in place for us to provide that opportunity for our 6th through 8th graders in the Fox Valley to continue to play and be a part of the AYFA.
Now, we've talked about the youth, but now I'm kind of curious about the supports for like coaches and stuff, right? Because I think I heard you mention something along the lines like there's some development opportunities for people who might want to coach or are coaches to get licensed or to raise their licensures to the levels that you need. I only know soccer. I don't know football. So you're going to have to help me out with this.
Yeah. So We're just all volunteers. We love football, and that's the reason why we're doing it. Or for a lot of our coaches, they even have a son that's in the program, so it allows for them to not only get more time with their son or their football player, but it also provides that community aspect too, because they already have those connections, and a lot of these coaches actually supply us with, incoming coaches, so someone they know that's going to come in and coach. But in terms of the development part, I kind of mentioned the USA Football, so they focus more on safe practices in terms of like tackling and blocking, kind of keeping the head region out of those type of football moves, which is obviously a huge concern, not only on the NFL level, all the way down to youth football. So really minimizing those injuries, which we went after implementing the USA Football kind of training for our coaches. We went from, maybe like 5 or 6 concussions a year to like maybe 1 or 2. So not only providing the best equipment for our youth football players, but also really implementing our coaching staff being 100% certified through USA Football has really helped. And this has been such an amazing program for us because it's something that kind of builds on itself, and it's kind of developed with the NFL. So the height of like football in the entire world, and it comes all the way down to the youth programs, which is really incredible.
So if students, this is for the listeners, I am asking this
Sure.
question, and also as a mother. So like, let's say if a child is facing some kind of economic barrier, so is it like your organization identifies that, or they have to like, submit an application for something like to get the equipment or whatever the need is for these sports?
Yeah. So on our website, there is a portion or section, I should say, that allows for those parents or adult of the football player to fill out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's then reviewed by our president, which is Nick Salm for AYFA. And they look at that and look at what program they're part of. And then they're actually given like a coupon code, essentially, when they register through the AYFA, to then it kind of waives all those fees.
Oh, I see.
And obviously, when you register and you pay to play, the equipment's a part of that. So we do our due diligence in making sure that our budget and everything else as a nonprofit goes towards having the best equipment. And obviously, like Timber alluded to, that can be pretty spendy, but I think having those scholarship programs in place, I think, is phenomenal in terms of, for like especially our west side, because I know 5 students offhand right now that have really benefited from this program.
That's amazing.
What's the calendar year on the program?
It's funny you asked that. So it's year round for us as directors and the AYFA board. We meet every month to discuss the different things that are going on within each branch of the AYFA, so like east, north, west, etc. But our main event, I would say, is from August to October. And that's when our season starts. And that's when things really pick up.
At this time, Jackson, can you please share a story that will help our listeners understand the importance of...
Of the AYFA?
Yes.
I would say the one thing I have experienced as a coach on the Appleton West side is having that opportunity to really connect with my players has been such an amazing experience. And I think that wouldn't have been possible if the AYFA wasn't established. Like, yes, we still would have had volunteer coaches, etc. However, I feel that having this support system in place in terms of providing not only the opportunity like to have like football fundamentals be at the core of what we're doing, but also allowing for those support systems in place to help those students even outside of football. So for just an example, there were some of my players that were kind of expressing, like, yeah, we get lunch and everything else at school, and that's been provided for us. But there's sometimes where we sometimes go home and we don't have a next meal, or we don't have enough for like breakfast the next day, kind of thing, or that kind of like that barrier to playing, because it's so much more than just showing up and putting your pads on and getting through practice. There's always something else outside of football going on, and I think to be able to provide different things like making sandwiches and bringing them to after practice, or like those types of things, mean so much more to me than actually like, football itself. And coaching is actually being able to be there as that mentor and providing these life lessons, because football has many opportunities for life lessons. So
Are there any upcoming events or initiatives or engagement opportunities?
yeah, so in August, so when things pick up, the main event, we have our Wisconsin Gridiron Club scrimmage. So that's the Appleton Youth, like Football Youth Association. We all are part of that. And then we have other high schools or youth programs come and participate. So it's probably between 10 and 12 teams that come and actually play from 6th to 8th grade. And that's held out at the Shields USA like soccer fields out by Badger Sports. And so that happens on August 17th. And it's really a great opportunity not only to see some really heightened youth football and see some of our players perform at their best right before the season starts, because it's open to the community. They can come and participate. There's concessions. There's, big tents up where you can get some swag from each part of the youth associations, like East, North, and West, and really get to engage with a lot of our different coaches that are all there, as well as our AYFA board members are always all there. And so we always ask for a lot of volunteers, because it is a huge event. It's across all those soccer fields. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's a lot of ground to cover.
That's a huge field.
Yeah.
Fields,
yeah, plural, yeah. So we're always looking for volunteers for that. We're actually right now in the planning stages already for August for this event. That's just like how big it is for us.
So, Jackson, do you want to share some key insights that you feel our listeners would love to know?
Sure. Yeah. So I think one of the things that I really loved was I moved on from playing football at Lawrence and kind of came back to Appleton after being down in Milwaukee for a time. And I was just not thinking like, oh, well, I'm going to be involved with this nonprofit, but I somehow got sucked in, like
that's how it always works.
Right. That is how it always works. I just got kind of sucked in. I got I would say enchanted by this idea of, one, not only the sport that I love, but to have the opportunity to coach and to meet with the different AYFA like board members, and just hearing their stories and why they are participating and just providing and dedicating their time to this was like, man, I am in the right place.
You found your calling.
Yeah. And, I never expected for me to be a football coach or the director for Appleton West, like youth football. Like that was never in my picture or what I had in mind for my future. But I think it was just, it's just incredible, because I think everyone is very supportive. They all have connections no matter where you go. And to have Nick as our president, he has so many different connections, having grown up and lived here, and have a lot of his kids go through each of these programs. It's a huge, I don't know, just I get emotional about it, because I think there's just a lot of great things happening, and I can't express like how fortunate I am to be a part of it, because I was just like, yeah, you know what, I'll give it a try. And it was just those people within the AYFA already that were like, they gave me the opportunity, like, yeah, absolutely, go for it. There wasn't a whole lot of like, well, what's your experience? It's anyone can come and kind of participate. I mean, if you have played football or you love football, even then you could still come in and volunteer.
Is there anything the community can do to be helpful?
Yeah, I think for us, it's support those 6th through 8th graders that are going out and putting all this time in on a weekly basis. That, we practice Monday through Friday, 2 hours every day. And then we also have games on Saturdays. And I think just dedicating your time, if you have a player within these respected, like East, North, West, etc. Like if you go have those players eventually going into these high school programs and they're wanting to play youth football, participate. Dedicate your time, because obviously it's a lot to ask. Obviously you're already, you're registering your player, you're doing all this stuff, but it goes so much farther when you can be actively involved with that. And I think those players that have those adults that are doing that, they get the most benefit out of it. They really do. And I think if you're wanting to volunteer and be a part of like the AYFA, it's always great to just go onto our website, look and see what's on there in terms of like the cool, like different like photos we got of like of our kids in action. Also the different opportunities to sign up and contact us, I think is always a great option, because that's where I would start first, is definitely there.
So you already answered our next question. Like, what are the various ways they can contact you other than the website? Do you have a Facebook page? Any dedicated email or a phone number to reach out to?
Is there a who?
Yeah, so I kind of was thinking about what the next question was going to be, kind of just led a little bit into it, right? So our website is the AppletonYouthAssociation.com. That's where you'll find like our main like website page. There is a contact info link down at the bottom of our page, and that actually directs straight to the president and our secretary for AYFA. And so those are the people that kind of disseminate that information of like what your questions are to the different programs. So whether that be West, East, or North, so that those directors can then help you kind of weave through the different places that we need to kind of get you to the right person and make sure that you're connected. I say that would be our main source of being able to contact us. Or if you are part of like one of those organizations, whether it's West, East, or North, reaching out to our directors, so like myself included.
Thank you.
Well, Jackson, at this time, do you have any shout outs?
I have probably too many shout outs for this podcast.
Uh-oh. Well, we got time.
Okay. All right. Well, let me go through the list. No, I just want to say thank you so much to the AYFA board for giving me this opportunity to be the Appleton West director. I want to shout out to Andy Goodyear, who is the previous Appleton West director, and really inspired me to pursue this role and kind of take on the very large shoes that he left me to walk in and be a part of, and kind of take on this challenge of making the Appleton West side of AYFA better and more resounding for future years. And I just want to shout out to Nick Salm, our president for AYFA, and he's done a great job of developing us as directors and making sure that our programs are in the best place possible. And I would definitely say shout out to my wife for always supporting me in the things that I'm passionate about. And I know this takes a lot of time because it is volunteer work. And I know it's not always easy to kind of express like how much it means to someone and how much that time can kind of take away from the things that are really important, like being at home. But I think it speaks volumes when you have someone kind of behind you, whether that's like the directors or even those coaches that are around you to kind of support you, including, your family members too.
Okay. Well, Jackson, at this time, we're going to start wrapping up this episode. So thank you for being here with us today. And to the Appleton Engaged listeners, I want to say thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for giving us your mind and ears. Thank you for caring about another amazing resource in our community, help making this a better place. We are a work in progress. We are always trying to improve this podcast. We want to be the best podcast in the Northeast region, and we can get there with your help. So, what can you do to help us? Well, there's a couple of things you can do to help us. First is if you have any recommendations on how we can improve the show, please reach out to us. If you would like to be a guest on Appleton Engaged, or if you would like to recommend a guest on Appleton Engaged, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Jackson here reached out to us, and that is how we got this fabulous episode here today. You can reach out to us at diversity@appleton.org. Once again, that is diversity@appleton.org. Also, we would really, really like to get this podcast in front of more eyes and ears. And the way we do that is through improved analytics. How do you help us with the analytics? Well, you're listening to Appleton Engaged right now. Take a moment and hit your subscribe button. The other thing you can do is just take a few minutes and leave us a review and let us know how we're doing. Both these acts help to improve our analytics, and with better analytics, it helps get this amazing podcast in front of more eyes and more ears in our community.
Thank you so much, Jackson. It was so great to learn about your passion, and again, how you are sharing that passion with our community. And the listeners, if you have incoming kids in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, and your child has a passion for sports, please do join the program. Go and check out the website of Appleton Youth Football Association, and you can register there. If you have questions, reach out to them. And thank you again. And until next time, stay thoughtful, stay curious, and stay engaged.